7 o'clock, Morton Grove Public Library Board of Trustees, regular meeting in the Baxter Room, December 8, 2011. If we can stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Secretary Berg, if you could call the roll.
Paul Berg, I'm here. David Kelman.
Here.
Mr. Goldstein.
Here.
Mr. Hoffman.
Here.
Mrs. Peters. Here. Mrs. Quinn. And Mr. Albers.
Here.
All present.
Thanks, we have quorum. Approval of minutes, board meeting November 10th, 2011. Do I have a motion to approve?
I move to approve the minutes of January 13th. I'm sorry. November 10th, 2011.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
All accept.
Any?
All
No,
approve.
I have a comment.
Comment.
Under new business, section 11, the violation of closed session confidentiality by trustee Hoffman. Since I didn't know what we were going to talk about last meeting, I didn't have a chance to research this, but I did find out what I needed to find out. In your guide to the Illinois Open Meeting Act, page 43, you can read, disclosure of matters discussed in closed meetings. A public body cannot sanction one of its members for disclosing information or issues discussed in a closed meeting. The Attorney General noted that the possibility of such sanctions would only serve as an obstacle to the effective enforcement of the Act, and a shield behind which opponents of the open government could hide. There was no violation. There was absolutely no violation. I like the word violation stricken from these minutes and from last month's agenda.
No.
You were not sanctioned.
The word violation, there's no violation.
You violated the Open Meetings Act.
No, right
by
here,
making
there's
a
no
second-
violation. It says any member
By making a
of
second
public.
I have the floor. You made a second recording.
Where is that written anywhere that there can only be one recording? There needs to be one recording. It doesn't limit it to one recording. And as long as I didn't play that recording for anybody, there's no violation.
I'm not going to take the word violation out of the meeting minutes. We can take this up with council at the next meeting,
Where is council?
not here tonight.
And I suggest you postpone voting on the minutes of this particular meeting until you have council review.
I suggest that we vote on whether or not to accept the minutes. That was the first.
Question of the minutes. Is that being answered?
You can vote no.
Since the president suggested we take it up with council, it feels a little open-ended for us to vote. With his coaching, how we take it out once the council is either here at the next meeting or if we take it out at some separate
The
time.
motion has been put on the floor. It has to either be defeated or approved.
Okay.
Can it be tabled?
That can be taken. Vote for that can happen after we've voted up or down on the first motion, yes.
Don't we abide by the guide to the Illinois Open Meetings Act?
So I only have a motion to approve on the floor. And it was seconded.
I will take a voice
So you give me
vote.
a vote.
I'll take a voice vote.
What are we voting on?
So
To
accept them.
approve, to accept these minutes
Accept
or not.
the minutes.
I make a motion to table this vote.
I second that
Ready to
motion.
Is there a second? Okay, give me a vote.
Which one are you voting on?
We're gonna vote on whether to table this until the next meeting.
Until we have accounts?
Okay. Dr. Kelman. Do you vote to table?
Do you vote to wait for council to give us guidance?
They'll wait until the council is here.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Goldstein?
I'm in favor of waiting for council.
That's a
Mr.
yes.
Hoffman?
Yes.
Mrs. Peters?
I believe they're accurate, so I vote no.
Mrs. Quinn?
Yes. By council's guidance.
Mr. Berg? I will abstain. Mr. Elvis?
I believe the minutes are accurate, but I'm willing to let council provide an opinion on this at the next meeting.
Okay. The motion passes on a vote of 6-0. One abstention.
Okay, public comments, agenda items only.
5-0.
Peters for,
5-1.
I'm sorry.
5-1 and
5-1.
Do you have any public comments on agenda items? If none, President's report. I'd like to recap some of what's happened over the last several months. In May 2011, 4 newly elected trustees sat down on this board and started the work to make our library truly responsive to the needs of Morton Grove citizens and other patrons. In June, we had the first ever urban garden. This project. It was welcomed with support from other community members and organizations, and is prompting us to add some programming as we continue with this garden again in 2012. In July, I reported to the state's attorney the violations of the Open Meetings Act by the previous board. This self-reporting prevented financial penalties from being assessed against our library. The state's attorney found the previous board guilty of multiple violations of the Open Meetings Act, but we did not get any financial penalties. In September, we added another section to the agenda for public comments, so we now have opportunities for the public to comment on agenda and non-agenda items. We made the move to the Baxter Room, access to the public. We announced our intent to begin making improvements to this building to make it more accessible. We started serious work on the 2012 budget, utilizing a zero-based formula to make sure each tax dollar spent was needed, and we're going to be holding the departments accountable. In September, we also elevated Natalia Fishman and Kevin Justy to co-directors of the library, and they are handling the day-to-day operations of the facility. Additionally, there was a redesign of the look of the library cards, and those designs were overwhelmingly received by the patrons, so nice job there. In October, we adopted an official email and record retention policy, which will now have us in compliance with the Freedom of Information Act. Our November agenda had 6 action items on it, and the board came together with 6 unanimous decisions. We approved the lease with St. Martha's and now has some additional parking. We approved the 2012 budget, and very importantly, we approved the retention of a professional money manager to greatly improve the rate of return on our investments. This was a bylaw requirement which was not met by the previous director of the previous board, so we're now in compliance with our own bylaws. Lastly, the 2012 budget. I have to go on the record and thank Ryan Horn, who is the village finance director, for his help with straightening out our finances. He helped us to clear up an inefficient accounting system and streamline our accounts and bookkeeping procedures. Coincidentally, at the same time, we received a note from our auditor about how poorly the 2010 records were kept. So Ryan truly helped us to get our books in order. The 2012 budget was submitted to the village on time, well ahead of any previous year's submission. Unlike last year, we did not trigger a truth and taxation meeting. The directors were asked to do a zero-based budget, And at the conclusion of the budget process, we actually lowered the tax levy close to 5%. We did this without a reduction in personnel, hours, or programs. So I'm satisfied with our progress so far, and we, the board and the staff, have more to do in continuing to make this a library which we can all be proud of, as it continues to serve our residents and visitor patrons with high-quality programming while being fiscally responsible with taxpayer funds. And we hope to keep the continued trust of the people of Morton Grove. Thank you. Treasurer's report.
The cash statement, our total as of today is $2,362,262.28. In assets, I'm happy to say that the state has come through with virtually 100% of the gas money that we've been expecting this year. Our budget items lie well within what was projected for the year. The departments are running right where they should be. The directors have informed me that they are in the process of working with PMA, our new investment managers, to move the money out of Illinois funds and into their management. The paperwork will take some processing, and the transition will be completed sometime in January. So sometime in January, we'll be expecting to be receiving a better rate on the library's income. In reviewing the, do any of the members have any questions about this month's income statement or check registers? I'll be happy to answer them.
I have one.
Yeah.
I have one question. So if I look at, for the month of November, we had a transfer, it's called the very last one, transfer to other fund of $30,000. Which was the other fund? That's the move to what? I was trying to find it on one of the forms, and I couldn't figure out where that 30,000 was. Not on the special reserve.
That
fund,
was
right?
done, no, that's not the special reserve fund,
Okay.
is it?
It was transferred in March or April.
Yeah, it was
Just
transferred
the figure is
before we
just
came
there
on.
before. It was March, April.
Oh, you know what, I read it wrong, I thought it was,
No, that was not this month.
no,
No,
that's
this
the-
one
that's
says zero.
That's the
Yeah.
11-month number. Okay, no, my bad.
Not a
I
problem.
was trying to figure out where the 30,000, I forgot this part of the Illinois.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have,
Sure.
we had a check for $982 to Clark Baird Smith.
Those are our lawyers, our
Yeah, those are the
employment
labor
lawyers, labor
Are
lawyers.
you done with them yet?
There's numerous labor issues
Yeah.
in the library.
There's always personnel issues within the library. And Clark Baird, that is work that they did for us. It was billed this cycle, but it was work that was done for us in a previous cycle.
That's what I was wondering. Because
Yes.
I know they had done a lot of work for us. But I
Right.
said, it's coming up again. I said, aren't we done with it? Because
Oh, I wish we were. I wish we
originally,
were.
when they were hired on, it was my understanding that it was for the time. It's not going to be forever. This is
No,
not an
it's
eternal.
It's anytime we have a personnel issue. They're the specialists just in personnel.
Yeah, yeah.
And so there have been personnel issues
Okay,
since
all
then.
right. The other one is a little funny, and I don't know who to direct this to, but there's a check for $71.80 to Soap Opera Digest.
It's
You
a
know what,
magazine.
our
I
patrons,
thought we were an educational organization.
our patrons are very eclectic, and you know what?
Thank you, Pam.
It's not, yeah, it's not my cup of tea.
Like
But
sands of the
we
hourglass, so are the days of our lives.
We are serving the needs of our entire population. What can I tell you? If there aren't any other questions, I would like to ask the president to accept the finance report for this month.
You know, I don't know where maybe So this is the treasurer's report, right? So I'll ask, I guess, in the finance committee report. Or is this all one and the same?
Ask away.
Okay, so then, I was thinking about it today, and where are we on the idea of a forensic audit? And thinking about what you just kind of recapped from a president's standpoint, back in either June or July, we had said, and there were reservations at the time around we weren't familiar enough in place.
I can answer you that, please. The forensic audit is not on the agenda this month. It has not been discussed this month.
I'm just asking for a status update.
It's still open.
It's still open.
Okay. Okay.
I asked that,
Do we have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
I move that the board accept the treasurer's report as presented.
Do we have a
Second.
Give me a vote, Paul.
Okay. Can we do a hand vote on this? All in favor? Anybody opposed?
So the treasurer's report is accepted. Committee reports, finance, anything there?
no, the only thing on the agenda was what was gone over in this meeting
None?
here.
Okay, thank you. Building and grounds?
Just to recap, on behalf of our subcommittee, a few things that came up on our meeting on November 16th. I'll take the easy, kind of the simple things first, which is, and you've kind of already alluded to it in your recap, but based on the feedback from the staff and everything, it is our recommendation as a subcommittee to obviously move forward and continue the community garden. A few things that we're going to look to make improvements, which is building in sufficient, even further lead times so that we can build further programming around it. That also will garner us a little more ability to get volunteers, even more volunteers from the community lined up behind it. And as we head into next year, we'll look to leverage the same donations that we've had of materials from the sponsors. So at this time, we want to thank not only the staff, but the community at large and our sponsors for really making that a success that we hope to build upon for next year. In addition to that, one of the areas that we have been focusing on as a subcommittee is how do we think about upgrading the building from an accessibility standpoint. And we as a subcommittee met to talk about the priority areas that we would like to address. And those areas are around the entrance and the exit. Let's call it facilities and restrooms. So Baxter Room, and then obviously the first and second floor stacks, as well as just second floor accessibility as a general topic, if you would. Finally, two other areas in addition to that, hardware. So if you think about handles and things like that, getting those upgraded to more user-friendly, less knob sort of things, more levers, and then obviously updating the website as well. All of these are different areas that we as a subcommittee have kind of prioritized coming out of this. We are working with the village to identify different contractors who potentially will then help work, give us some rough ideas at this stage from a cost range standpoint. We obviously need to work with architects to spec out, and one of the key areas that comes up is around budget. So for board consideration here, I would just challenge everybody to think about as we move forward. This particular, all this work right now, there is no line item in the budget today. We have been coached by President Albers that this work, roughly to assume $40,000 to $50,000 a year of expenditures. Given the $4 million of kind of when the initial study was done, you can take it or leave it, but that's roughly, call it 80 to 100 years, so that probably feels a little insufficient. We'll probably have to make some sort of adjustments. But really think about what is it going to take to upgrade the facility that we need to make it accessible to everybody in our community at large. And with that, Trustee Berg, am I missing anything?
No, I think the only thing we need to emphasize is that in this ensuing time period where we're researching what we plan on doing, we welcome all input from community, our own board, our own employees. Please The more communication we have, the better. That's the only thing I wanted to maybe reiterate.
Yeah, Lauren.
Sure.
I would like to make one correction to what you said. That $4 million that was projected by the architects was not simply relegated to handicapped improvements. It was improvements to the entire building. So saying that it's $80 to $100 a year, 100 years is tremendously misleading. It was not apportioned to what was strictly handicapped and what was not. That $4 million number includes if they were going to remodel the entire building. A small component of that remodel did include changes to make the building more handicapped accessible.
As clarification,
I disagree.
hang on a second. As clarification, let me answer first, please. As clarification, that includes upgrading the HVAC system, upgrading a lot of our infrastructure as it is, and us as a building and grounds committee are obviously responsible for that.
Correct.
So
But in
It
the
was
context
not
of what you
intention.
said, you sounded like it would take, based on 40 to 50,000 a year, which was what was relegated to handicap, that it would take 80 to 100 years.
no,
And
to upgrade the facility that we need to get it
But the HVAC and all that
up to
improvement
date.
is not included in that 40 to 50,000. That was tremendously misleading.
And which line item do I have all that budgeted?
That's all of Claude's budget. That's all of Claude's budget, along with the special reserve fund. Those are for the capital improvements in the building. And so whereas certainly that $40,000 to $50,000 in handicapped is a component of what we're planning on doing, it in no sense encompassed the entire $4 million.
Does that conclude the building and grounds report?
It does from here.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Policy, I'm not aware of any meeting, so we'll move on to staff reports. Directors?
Well, we don't have too many things to talk about beyond what was already discussed in our written report. We didn't mention the circulation there, that November is not necessarily a terribly busy month, but as November goes, it was the highest November circ we've ever had, by over 10%. So we continue to be just incredibly busy. Just a reminder that we will be open the days after Christmas and New Year's. And with many businesses being closed those days, we anticipate them being fairly busy, people coming here. And are also anticipating at the end of the year and beginning of the new year, an increased number of questions and inquiries about e-books and other gadgets, reflecting people's holiday gifts, as has been the trend over the last few years. Also, next Wednesday, as I mentioned in the report, we'll be doing some work on our network, so there will be no internet access from the outside, and our internet computers will not be available for morning, probably through part of the afternoon. And finally, the week before Christmas and the week after Christmas, Natalia and I will be taking some days off. Maybe a couple days where we're both gone, but at least one department head, if not 2 or 3 will be here. So it shouldn't be an issue. And Natalia will be in town, and I am always available online if necessary.
I can just add a little about staffing. We lost several people, but we filled several vacancies. Jamie from Youth Services, she was part-time information assistant. She left. But Kate, who worked at the circulation desk, applied for that position and was offered that position. Reference department got 2 new part-time reference librarians. One of them is Brenda from programming, and the other one is Christina. Brenda's position was split into 2 positions, as we mentioned probably a couple of board meetings back, and we already posted the program aide position. Ruth Landy, who is our full-time reference librarian, she also resigned, and I posted that position too.
Does that conclude your report?
Yes.
Thank you.
May I make a comment?
Sure.
I I would like to thank Ruth Landy for the wonderful work she did at the reference table in helping people get more familiar with their Nooks and Kindles and everything else. And I thank her for her service and look forward to the new person who's going to be helping us doing that. I would also like to thank Brenda, who's the new move from programming to reference, and because she is updating the blogs on Patch, and she has taken it as part of her job now, and you can look forward to seeing this on Patch. There'll be a new series of weekly posts titled "Check It Out," and these series of articles, she's going to highlight some of the lesser-known availabilities for this library, things that people might not be familiar with, our extensive databases that can be gotten from home, our ability to help people with their new technologies and things like that. And I think that I want to thank you for instituting that program and thanking Brenda for following up on it. I think it will greatly serve as an interface between us here at the library and the people that we serve here in Marlboro. So thank you.
Thank you. And the first posting went up today.
Great.
You can see.
Thank you. Thank you. No report from corporate counsel tonight. Any communications we need to do? None. Great. No unfinished business. New business. We need to set the meeting dates for 2012. It'll be Thursdays at 7 o'clock.
We
For
are
the
in
second
the yellow
Thursday.
folder.
So it'll be 7 p.m. second Thursday of every month in 2012, just like this year. So can I have a motion to approve that?
I move that the board approve the 2012 board meeting calendar.
I second.
I have a vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone
Passes.
opposed?
None. Wonderful. We are required periodically to review closed session minutes for retention. Kevin and Natalia, you took a look at the executive session minutes and have a recommendation?
We did for the executive sessions for 2011 to date. And so those are also in your manila folder. There are 7, I believe, of which we are recommending 2, the June 9th and April 14th, to be made public, and the remainder to be kept confidential. The 2 that we're releasing, or recommending releasing, and again, this is your decision, we're just making a recommendation, deal with the retention of the attorneys and the selection of trustee Frank to the board. The major portion of one of them was the last time this review was done of previous executive sessions, so there's nothing there. And I think that was about it. The others all deal with personnel or salary issues that need to remain.
It's my understanding that if we vote to retain them, we can always vote to release them at a later date.
Yes, yes. What Frank said is that at each time we do this, we go back and look at the ones that haven't been done previously and redo them again.
And when you said 2011, you meant April going forward, because I believe the last time it was done, no, I believe they were done in April, at the April meeting.
Right, Frank said we should do all 2011, so it was the January meeting then also.
We first did April, but then Frank advised us to go back to January.
I'm all right.
Well, with that in mind, that we can always release in the future, when we know the status of all, the final status of all the employee issues, I move that the board accept the recommendation of the directors having reviewed the closed session minutes through October 13th, 2011, and the minutes of the closed sessions on April 14th and June 9th be released to the public, and that the need for confidentiality still exists at this point to the minutes of the remaining closed sessions, and that the information contained in those minutes remain confidential.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, can I have a vote?
I will vote okay, yes. Dr. Kelmack?
Yes.
Mr. Goldstein?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mrs. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Quinn?
Yes.
Mr. Albers?
Yes.
7-2.
So then we need all the ones that are not released back, so that we can trim.
Or you can take.
Or we can take them all.
Yeah, whatever,
But it's easier.
whatever's expedient.
Okay.
Fine, collecting one, okay.
The two in question are 414 and 69, I believe.
414 and 69, those are the ones that have been released. Yes. So you can just pass the folders down if you want.
Yeah, just telling you.
That's true. Yeah, the folders also have the meeting dates and the green sheet with all of your addresses and filters in session, which you can do, obviously.
You get the straight one?
Okay.
They're moving now.
What
Mirror
is
on this time.
Well, mention it.
This is for you.
You have to see the tray stand.
There it is.
Oh, yeah. Blanche, there's under secretary, you have Dan here. And it's, yeah. So we'll just move that down the line. Thank you. Okay, this is fine.
Okay, we have a violation of Morton Grove Public Library bylaw by trustee Hoffman. And again, we have to bring attention to trustee Hoffman. This time he's violated his fiduciary duty as a trustee to the residents of Morton Grove. The board determined to contest the unemployment application of past director Shapiro. The initial determination was that Mr. Shapiro was not entitled to unemployment compensation. At the appeal hearing, trustee Hoffman voluntarily testified on Mr. Shapiro's behalf and against the library. He was not under subpoena to appear and thus appeared voluntarily against the library. Mr. Shapiro was subsequently awarded benefits. These are actions against the interest of the library and in violation of his duty to the library. The bylaws contain a provision under the ethics section that board members should refrain from conflicts of interest, and trustee Hoffman's actions were in conflict with the library. Further, trustee Hoffman's actions were in violation of what I'm going to coin the Agnes Quinn Amendment, which he was instrumental in having adopted, and that a trustee must not take a position against the position of the board.
I was asked questions under oath by a judge and answered them truthfully. I have no idea what this possibly could be a violation of. This was,
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
It would be a violation if he misspoke.
No, that's not at all what happened.
that's exactly what happened. Mark was on the phone during it. He answered
That's-
questions, and may I say,
And you had
stretched the
the,
truth.
you had a duty
To lie
to say
under
that
oath?
No.
you
You
could
had-
elect not to.
This,
Oh, no, I couldn't.
This
That has
board-
something to do with this board. This is,
this board voted to contest the unemployment benefits of Ben Shapiro because he signed
This,
resignation.
no. This board gave the director direction to sign a letter contesting it.
Contesting it,
That
and
had
then
nothing to
you
do.
did exactly the
I
opposite.
have the floor.
Okay.
Do you have anything further to say?
No. Just, and by the way, this is the first I've heard of this, is right at this very second. It was on the agenda delivered to my house Tuesday. I sent an email to President Albers immediately after reading the agenda. I have no response from him whatsoever to this very moment. And this is now 2 months in a row where I've made the agenda and not been told why or what violation I'm being accused of. You can keep doing it, and it's just silly. It's petty and it's stupid. And I'm not talking to you, Ms. Peters. Being asked questions by a judge, sworn in, and answering them truthfully is not a violation of anything. And by the way, they overturned the ruling, and Director Shapiro is entitled to unemployment benefits. And we all knew that was coming. That was discussed in other open and closed meetings. That it was worth a shot to try to deny his stuff. We talked to our labor attorneys, and they said the reason that they can't put that wording into the separation agreement is because they cannot judiciate the state's money. It is up to the state to do it.
He was denied initially, and you...
Do you get? Do you want yes?
The only thing I am concerned about is it's like hello kettle meat pot. Because what I find ironic and disconcerting is the fact that very esteemed members of this community have brought up from basically our first meeting as in, where the majority of the new board members were incoming, that there was violations of the bylaws when it came to appointing leadership positions that were in violation directly of what was actually written. That feedback was given multiple times. Not only was it not taken, there was no action taken upon it. The bylaws, please, let me finish. The bylaws have not been updated. We have not voted as a board to change the bylaws to update, to solve for the things that you guys, when we voted for leadership to go into replacing the things today. And so what I find frustrating and hypocritical is to take these same standards that we're holding and waving them as a flag right now, that there are violations when leadership has violated it basically in the first 30 days. And the problem is we haven't done anything about it. So the issue that I take is if we had made changes and we held them as the new bylaws and we had issues to call the question, that's great. But this board has kind of, we tromped on a few things out of the gate and we didn't make changes. And so now we've got leadership kind of holding them up and holding people to standards that were violated out of the gate from an incoming board standpoint. And for that, I am very concerned when our leaders are holding people accountable to standards that they can't uphold themselves.
I would like to address that, Ms. Quinn. The simple fact is that that is not true, that it was found by legal opinion that Illinois state law supersedes the bylaws and that we were in total compliance with Illinois state law. And in fact, you know that specifically because you asked that specific question at the trustee training. You asked if it was legal what we did, and you were even told personally at that time that the Illinois law supersedes.
Absolutely.
Right.
And you know
and
what?
So we didn't trump on
But you know
anything.
what? We haven't changed the bylaws. These are the documents of records that we have on here. So either they need to be removed from the bylaws, or we need to update them to reflect that, yes, we will abide by state law.
It doesn't matter.
We
State law
haven't made
always
a change
trumps.
to it.
State law always
We are
trumps
dragging our heels on a
bylaws.
lot of critical changes that we have all
We
said
have
are
that
very
committee-
critical. to
that
Thank you
this
very,
is in process.
thank you very much.
There is
We're
no
done.
hypocrisy.
So as it pertains to trustee Hoffman, I think it needs to be clear that he appeared voluntarily, not pursuant to a subpoena. He was not forced to testify. It put the library in the position of having a trustee testifying in opposition to the position of the board.
I didn't lie.
Good, you were under oath, you shouldn't. We are now on 11 public comments
Could you
on
repeat
agenda
what you
items.
just said, Mr. President?
You were under oath, you
Yes.
shouldn't lie.
Say that again?
You should not lie.
Are you,
I'm glad you said that.
Public comments on non-agenda items? Should go to Bert.
My name is Larry Levin. I noticed that the Bloomberg report declared that Morton Grove was the third best place in the United States to raise children. One of the things that was conspicuously missing from the Bloomberg report in its praise of Morton Grove was any mention of the library. To that end, I would like to know, and Mr. Quinn, I'll direct this to you and your subcommittee. I didn't hear any mention of any priority of youth services in your looking at what is necessary to be done with the library. And I would certainly hope that the staff and the board would give considerable consideration to changing around, doing some things that are probably vitally necessary to, based on the continued increased circulation of youth services, that some things have to be done. It is not anywhere near as user-friendly as I think youth services ought to be, and I hope other people will agree with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. No further public comments? You want to go into session?
Who would like to, yes?
We're going to go into executive session. So I have a motion to go into executive session.
I move that we go into executive session.
Second.
Can I ask a question?
Second.
Can I ask a question?
all agreed?
There's a roll call vote, Paul.
You need a roll call, okay. Mr. Goldstein, executive session.
Yes.
Can I just
Mr.
ask a
Hoffman, sure.
question?
Mrs. Peters,
Either can't stop it. Yes.
Mrs. Peters,
He's here, yes.
executive
I'd
session.
like to ask a question before we do. I just wanted to make sure that whatever is going to be discussed in the executive session is something that's allowed under the Open
It
Meetings
is
Act.
personnel matter.
Okay, thank you. Yes, definitely.
Ms. Quinn,
Yes.
Mr. Elders,
Yes.
Mr. Berg, yes, Dr. Kellman.
Yes.
Motion carries. Board meeting, it's 8:06 PM. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Move the meeting adjourned.
Do I have a second?
Second.
No objections? We are adjourned. Thank you.